So welcome dear students. Today's class is on thyroid hormones, and as you know that the thyroid gland, it's a butterfly shaped gland or an organ which is found in front of the trachea and larynx. Here you can see the thyroid gland. This is the thyroid gland and this is the trachea, and there are three primary features in the histology of the thyroid gland. One is it has follicles. Follicles are small spherical grouping of cells surrounds the core of colloid with thyroglobulin. Second is follicular cells. So single layer around the core. It has varied shape. Transports thyroglobulin and secretes T3 and T4. Third is it has parafollicular cells, which is between the follicles, scattered in spaces between the follicular cells, which produce calcitonin, and hence it's also called as C cells. So this is the structure or a sectioning of the thyroid gland. You can see the follicles. These are the follicles. So these are the follicles, right? And in between you have these smaller structures, which is a capillary. So this is the capillary. And other than that, these are the follicular cells, and there is an extra cell which is uh, attached to the follicular cells. These are the C cells that secrete calcitonin. The follicular cells secrete the thyroid hormones, and the colloidal region is a region that is in the middle of the follicle, and it's composed of glycoproteins. You have capillaries and you have connective tissues. So the gland is completely made of thyroid follicles. So there are two biologically active thyroid hormones, tetraiodothyronin, that is T4, and triiodothyronin, that is T3. T4 is usually called as thyroxine. Thyroid hormones are derived from the modification of tyrosine amino acid, and the secretion is at a rate of 80 milligram of T4, but only 5 milligram of T3 per day. That means you need more of T4, less of T3. But it is seen that T3 has a greater biological activity compared to T4, almost tenfold greater activity, biological activity when compared to T4. So an additional 25 milligram per day of T3 is produced by conversion of T4 through a process called monodeiodination by the enzyme 5-monodeiodinase. So this is the structure of tyrosine, and this is the structure of T4, this is the structure of T3. So here you can see that this much is a molecule of tyrosine, and this is the second molecule of tyrosine. Only factor is this portion has been removed in the second molecule. Okay, and it has T4 has 4 iodine molecules. That's why it's called as T4. It has 4 iodine molecules. T3 has 3 iodine molecules. So a T4 is made of, or a T3 is made of 2 tyrosine molecules and iodine molecules. So next is the major sources of iodine. So as we know that the thyroid hormones are unique because it has iodine incorporated into its structure, and the iodine intake is either through water or through the diet. The major source of iodine is actually the iodized salt, or bread is also fortified with iodine now. So it is called iodinated bread, dairy products, and shellfish. And the minimum requirement or the Recommended daily allowance of iodine is 75 micrograms per day. So, what are the steps involved in the synthesis of thyroid hormones? First is synthesis of thyroglobulin from tyrosine, uptake and the concentration of iodide, oxidation of iodide to iodine, iodination of thyroglobulin, and coupling of two iodinated tyrosine molecules to form T4 or T3, and finally secretion of the hormone. So, iodine metabolism, where the dietary iodine is absorbed in GI tract, taken up by the thyroid gland, or removed by the kidneys. 80% of the iodine is lost in urine, whereas only 20% is taken up by the thyroid follicular cells. So the transport of iodide into follicular cells depends on the sodium iodide co-transport system. It's a co-transport system, so both are transported to the cells. Iodide is taken up by the thyroid gland and is oxidized by peroxide in the lumen of the follicles. Oxidized iodine is used for the production of thyroid hormones. The pituitary produces thyroid stimulating hormone, which binds to the follicular cell receptors, and the follicle cells of thyroid produce thyroglobulin, and thyroglobulin is a large glycoprotein which is released into the colloidal space where the tyrosine residues are iodinated by the oxidized iodine. Formation of monoiodotyrosine or diiodotyrosine takes place in the colloidal space.